multiplying matrices. To multiply them, you actually have to take a row times a column. So we said Thursday, rows are horizontal, columns are vertical. And when you take a row times a column, you will get a single number for your answer. So what you do is you multiply the corresponding numbers. So we do 3 times 3, which is 9. Negative 5 times 4, negative 20. And 2 times negative 5, negative 10. But then we have to add those numbers together. So we get negative 21. So when you take a row times a column, you get a single number for your answer, which is different than the others. You multiply the corresponding pieces, but then add them together at the end. So this kind of changes which things we are allowed to multiply. In order to be able to multiply them, you have to have the same number of rows in the first one as you do columns in the second one. Okay, so it has to work out there. So I'm going to put up our rule for how to multiply these. So this tells us the requirement to multiply them, that we have to have the same number of columns in the first and rows in the second. And it tells us the rule for the size. So I just want you to write this down and then we'll kind of talk about it as we go through each one. But that way it's written in your notes if you forget later and need to go back and look. So let's take a look at if I were just, and this one you don't necessarily have to write down, I just want to talk about if you could multiply them. The trick that we'll use. If you have a 2 by 3 matrix and a 3 by 5, so if your first matrix is 2 by 3 and the second one is 3 by 5. If you write their sizes down, you can multiply them if these middle numbers are the same. If the columns in the first is equal to the number of rows in the second. The size of the answer will be these outside numbers. So we could multiply these because the 3's are the same. Our answer will be a 2 by 5. 2 rows and 5 columns. Now, with matrix multiplication, order does matter. Could I take a 3 by 5 matrix and multiply it with a 2 by 3? No, if I flip the order, we can't do that. So, unlike normal multiplication that's commutative, this one is not. Order does matter when we're looking at that. So let's just start multiplying some matrices and getting our answer. You might want a calculator here. There's a lot of numbers involved. So a calculator might help you just kind of organize what you're doing. So if I ask you to find A times B, that is different than B times A. So the order does matter here. So first we do our size. the size of matrix A, how many rows do we have? 2. And then 3 columns. It's a 2 by 3. Matrix B, what size is this? 3 by 4. These middle numbers are the same, so we can multiply them. My answer will be 2 by 4. So it will have 2 rows, 4 columns. So now to do this, we have to take a row times a column. So you might need to go out to the side and kind of do some scratch work here. You're taking the first row times the first column. So when you do that, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. -1 times -3 is 3. We have to add those numbers together, so we get 23. I'm trying to get the first row of my matrix. So to do this, I keep working with the first row of matrix A. Right now I need to get the number that's in the first row and second column. So I'm taking the first row times the second column. And you multiply the corresponding numbers. So 2 times 5 is 10. 4 times 8 is 32. -1 times 1 is -1. So if you add those together, you get 41. Now I need the number in the first row and the third column. So I take the first row times the third column. So you multiply corresponding numbers. 2 times 1 is 2. 4 times 0 is 0. -1 times -2 is +2. Add those together and we get 4. Now I need the number in the first row and the fourth column. So first row times my fourth column. So 2 times 4 is 8. 4 times 6, 24. -1 times -1 is 1. If we add those together, we get 33. Does everyone understand where my numbers are coming from? Now I need the numbers in the second row. So I have to take the second row times each of those columns. So second row times the first column. 5 times 2 is 10. 8 times 4 is 32. 0 times -3 is 0. So if we add those together, we get 42. Now I have to take the second row times the second column. So 5 times 5 is 25. 8 times 8 is 64. 0 times 1 is 0. So add those together, we get 89. Now we do the second row times the third column. So 5 times 1 is 5. 8 times 0 is 0. 0 times -2 is 0. We get 5. And last, second row times the fourth column. So 5 times 8 is, 5 times 4 is 20. 8 times 6 is 48. 0 times -1 is 0. We get 68. So not that the math is really hard, it's just multiplying and adding. You just have to know which ones you're multiplying together. Are there any questions about how I knew I could multiply them or where my numbers came from. Let's do another. First step is making sure that we can multiply them. And to do that, you have to check your size. What's the size of the first one? And the second one? So, my inside numbers are the same, so we can multiply them. How big is my answer going to be? 2 by 4. Taking row by column. First row, first column. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times -2 is -6. And that gives me -2. First row, second column. 2 times 1 is 2. -2 times -1 is 2. 2 plus 2. That's 4. Third column. 2 times 4 is 8. -2 times 3 is -6. And we get 2. Fourth column. 2 times 6 is 12. -2 times 2 is -4. 12 plus -4 is 8. Do your second row. Times the first column. So 2 times 1 is 2, 0 plus 3, or 0 times 3 is 0, and we get 2. Next column, 1 times 1 is 1, 0 plus times -1 is 0, so we just get 1. 1 times 4 is 4, 0 times 3 is 0, so we get 4. 1 times 6 is 6, 0 times 2 is 0, and we get 6. Do you guys think you can try one? Any questions on this one? Guys do this one. What's the size of the first one? What about the second one? 3 by 2. So can we multiply them? Yes, those middle numbers match. What will be the size of my answer? 2 by 2. Okay, so you take a row times a column. So 1 times 1, 2 times -1, 3 times 2. Add those together, you get 5. Then first row times second column. So you get 2 plus 0 plus 12, which is 14. Then we do the second row. Second row, first column, 0 plus 1 plus 8 is 9. Second row, second column, 0 plus 0 plus 16 is 60. Any problems with that one? You guys aren't giving me much feedback. Do you understand this? Do we need a lot more examples? We're doing okay with it? Then Can I change something on this one? I want to flip them. I'm going to change my problem. What if I gave you if I write it like this, what's the size of my first matrix? 3 by 2. What's the size of the second matrix? 3 by 3. Can you multiply those? No. So what would I say?
No solution.
No solution. So this, if I flip that order, they can't be multiplied. Now, if I had gone with the original one, could they? Yeah, the original could have. How big would my final answer have been? 3 by 2. Okay. Do we need practice on working that one out? No? Alright. So, that is the end of what I wanted to cover today. There is a Math Excel assignment open, and you guys have time to work on that now.